Last time out on the M4J network, I completed my rebuild of the Gardcity South franchises by setting up the Gardcity SouthEastern, including taking this monstrosity of a station and turning it into this. Doesn't this look so much better? Today we're leaving conventional rail behind and fixing something else that's been bothering me on the network, the TransRapid franchise. The trains are jammed, the route is wrong, and the system as a whole is just bad. Let's fix that, shall we? Hey everyone, it's M4J here, and welcome back to the M4J network here on OpenTTD. Welcome back to Tarnway and Funston, which is very quickly becoming one of my favourite stations now. At the start of last episode, it was one of my least favourite, but the rebuild here, I'm a really big fan of it. The program that I used to design the rebuild here, I am going to try and use that for more stations moving forward, but I have to do a lot of fixes with it first. And I don't want to do any of that right now. It's also one of the reasons why the database project hasn't returned just yet. It is still being worked on in the background, but I'm one of these people where I get something working and then I'm afraid to touch it in case I break it again. But yeah, we got it to this stage. I'm very happy with the station here, but this is the location, or the start of the location, of a slight issue that we have here on the network. This is something actually that I did notice last time out, and I was toying with the idea of actually doing something about it, and decided not to in the end, but it is also something that MasterTrams flagged when I sent the save file over to him. So let's talk you through it now, and then we'll show you the solution. I just need to hide something on the plan list here a second. I'm going to turn that one there off. I'm just going to find it on this list again. There it is. Pin it and just put that up there. Right. Coming out of Tarnway and Funston, we come down this line here to Mondham and Tontfield, where we connect with the technically cross-country, one of the cross-country lines. I can't remember what this one's actually called. Then we come through the tunnel here under Runtborough and then down this way. And this is the start of the problem. Doesn't look bad, but if I hide the trees a little bit, you can see we're in this massive gorge, and immediately, even when I was building this route way back when, I was like, I don't like this isn't very realistic feeling. Not in the UK. There are other countries where carving through a mountain like this isn't seen as anything big, but excuse me, over here this isn't really the done thing. So already we're teetering on the bounds of unrealism. Then we have this section here with this tunnel and this other gorge, which is also rubbish. And then we have this section here, which is horrendous, and another really long tunnel. And then it sort of goes back to normality again. Now, originally I planned on rebuilding this entire section in the last episode. And the reason I didn't was because I didn't want to increase the journey time between T and F over here and at the time Hartberg, but now it's going to be Waterside Airport for reasons that you'll see in a moment. I sent this off to MasterTrams and he said exactly what I was thinking. This needs to go. We've backed and froed on what to do about this. His idea was to keep the alignment but build the route up and over the hills, and then I think it was a sharp turn this way and a sharp turn this way, and you know how I feel about sharp turns on main lines now. We don't do them, and actually that would slow things down a lot because I'd have to change the speed limits on that section, which I don't particularly want to do. So he had a massive gradient here going over this hill, and then there was another big gradient here, I think it was, going through this hill, but there was a tunnel at the top of both hills, I want to say. I would open Discord to check, but it takes like half an hour to update on my desktop, so not going to do that. But it was something along those lines. My solution is this: rerouting the entire main line so that it goes around the hills rather than through them. I like this idea too. Not just because it's my idea, but I think it is actually a good idea for a number of reasons. One of which is it adds some more stations to the route. The only issue is up here at Runtborough. What do we do? So my idea here is to shorten the tunnel to back here somewhere, and then curve it immediately, and then maybe snip off a little bit here of Laughing Way, and then there'll be a small gradient here to bring it back up to town level here, and then we're going to swing around this hill to the western side of Fenfingley. We don't have to go to Arding Hall because Arding Hall is already served by the branch. I just did this as an idea, but the main thing is from Fenfingley we'll come this way straight, and then we'll turn west. The compromise that I had was to create a gradient going up and over this hill, which I think on the eastern side isn't too bad, but on the western side there is quite a lot of hill here. Then Tunningbury Station, which is currently there, will get moved over here. The junction will then get moved somewhere around this area maybe. We don't have to connect up to Preddington, Garningston, Landbridge. I've just put that in as an idea. I think what will actually happen is, because this all needs to be fixed, the landscaping here anyway, so I think we'll come down the gradient here. We will have to divert this way slightly, so there may be a station here for Landbridge, but not for Garningston and Preddington. They'll be served by buses. And then we follow the landscape around this way. So again, there are quite some inclines here in order to try and fix this. Round this hill here, we'll remove the water, or we'll go round the water to Gaining Head. Definitely a station at Gaining Head, possibly one at Dratfield. And then instead of Hartburg Station and Bruntford, we'll have a new station at Senninghead Cross, and it will create a Y junction. So this line here will carry on this way, and then it will cut across this way. And then this one will be a junction further up, I think. I'd like to try and create an actual Y. It's whether or not that's possible. We'll see. The reason I've gone with this as a solution, Master Trams thought it was to try and keep the route flat. For me, it's not keeping it flat as such. It's trying to keep it realistic. This is obviously not realistic. In certain countries, in certain modern times, this is what would be built. High Speed 2 is kind of proving that you can carve through the landscape if you wish. What I want to do is go back to 1850 something, when they're building the first route, and they don't want to tunnel under the hills because it's too expensive, so they go round them instead. That's the law of this route. The law changes a lot as we go through, I admit, but that's kind of what was supposed to happen here. So as I said, the real stumbling block is to what to do here at Runtborough, because I don't want to lose too much of the town, but at the same time, from this tunnel here, which is still going to exist, I think it's going to be cut back to over here. There is a 3-tile drop to the exit of the tunnel, and then it has to curve around to the east in order for this to work. We can't really go west unless we just get rid of the tunnel entirely and come down this way, but then we've got a similar issue of this hill carries on all the way this way. So I kind of like the idea of curving it around. The other idea I had, which is a best of both worlds, have the slow lines, which are the easternmost, go around all of this and across here and things like that, and then have the fast lines diverge and go up and over the hills and around. But I think that still creates the issue of too many gradients. I don't mind a couple. For instance, we actually have a huge gradient on a line, which is something I said to Master Trams, over on the West Winds here. This is a huge gradient up to Mewood. And we actually have another one further back, sort of over here. It climbs up quite a lot on its way to Tronwood and then to Chuntborough. So I'm not opposed to gradients necessarily. I just feel like this line wouldn't benefit from them. So hopefully that all makes sense. I do like to talk through my thinking on things like this, because I want people to think I'm ignoring them. I'm not. It's just some things are easier to do than others when you're trying to fulfill a narrative. And I think this, having it go around the hill here rather than chopping through it, this was never a good idea. I think I just wanted to get the line built when I did this. That's why I did it. The other thought I had was maybe just bring it more around this way and then landscape it to make it look like that's how the hill was anyway. But I think, what I'm going to do is bring it around Laughing Way to Fenfingley. I think we're going to skip Arding Hall I think we are just going to head more directly this way. Or maybe just straight here and then around, and maybe we'll have like a parkway station or something instead, because I think cutting this way to then cut this way is a little bit meandery. It's not exactly how we want things to go. To be honest, with the speed limit of 100 miles per hour on the fast lines, I don't think there'll be much of a difference here anyway in journey times, but we'll see. Maybe we will come back at some point and have the fast lines and the slow lines split. It's a good compromise. It's the best of both worlds, particularly for this section. Having them split would work well. There's something, I think they're called the quarry lines going into London on the Brighton main line, where the fast and the slow lines do split. And I've tried to replicate that across the network, and it's never really looked right. Maybe this was finally the opportunity to do that. I don't know. But yeah, with the slow lines being where they are here, this could work. We'll see. The main thing is I'm going to build at least a pair of lines around all of this. If it goes really well, then I'll build the second pair of lines and just follow it for now. And then maybe we can redo it in the future. Because that's the other thing that's great about this, is we can redo it. Even with the database and how routes are stored in it, we can reroute something quite easily and just change the order of stops on the it's hard to explain. I'll have to show it to you again on the actual database. But I can change the order, the sequence order of stations in a route, and then also change the journey times between those sequences, and it will automatically calculate overall journey times and things. Or at least it will once I actually get around to programming it. So yeah, this round here, across here. The other good thing about this is we gain at least, I think it's 4 new stations from doing this, and we only lose Bruntford and Hartberg, and Hartberg isn't really the big town it used to be, so I don't mind that too much either. And then it might make this look a little bit nicer too, and I think it just plugs in nicer, because right now having both lines sort of do this hard left turn at the bottom, it does look a little odd, especially from up here. The fact that these are 2 main lines and they're kind of like swerving to avoid this. Whereas having it come in from this side makes it look like it was always planned to split into 2. Yeah, the more I talk about it, the more I like it. I do want to make it clear, though, that people suggesting things and then me doing something different does not mean I don't agree with them or anything like that. I think it just, in this instance, I just don't think the company that built this railway would have been happy going over the hill. I think they would have preferred going around the hill. But there will be lines in the future, cross-country lines and all sorts, where big hills, we're going to go over them rather than around them or through them. Right, let's get on with this, because I've talked for quite a long time now and we've still got an entire TransRapid franchise to work on today. So, let's get this done. And there we go. It is done. It is rebuilt. And for the most part, I'm happy. I think this is a good decision. As I said, I still wish I could have incorporated more of what Mastertram suggested, but I think in the grand scheme of things, this is the way to go. A little bit disappointed in myself in some ways that I wasn't able to connect up more of the towns I said I would. As it turns out, the topography here, it does fall away quite a bit. It's hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see the slopes here with the trees, because there's a lot of shadows anyway. It kind of makes it difficult. So I thought all of this area here, or this bit here at least, was flat, but it's not. It's a very steep slope down. So in some ways, we have actually got the best of both worlds here. We've got a little bit of climbing going on. It's very drawn out, I admit, and we've covered some of it with bridges as well. But coming out of Mondham and Tontfield, we turn immediately east after Runtborough, skirt round Laughing Way with a brand new station. Then we head down the hill here to Fenfingley with a brand new station. I say down the hill, it's literally one slope. Although, as you see, when you're building in this game, these slopes are 150 foot, which is quite a distance to cover. So there is quite a drop there. But anyway, after Fenfingley, we then climb up and up again. Along here, cross this small valley on a viaduct. I was thinking like is it the Great Ooze or the Balcombe? I think it's Balcombe. I drive past it constantly when I'm down in Sussex and I always forget the name of it. But I think it crosses the Great Ooze River. The really nice viaduct on the Brighton main line. Kind of reminds me a bit of that. Not as ornate, obviously. We could make it more ornate, I suppose, but I haven't in this case. Anyway, I'm distracting myself. Round the hill here, this required a little bit of terraforming. Landscaping, sorry. I know some people call me out on that. For the most part, though, I've tried to blend it into the landscape as best I can. When you've got a 4-track main line carving its way through it, it's a little bit difficult to do that. But you could argue that you can't really see where that all took place. So, yeah, there's that. And then over this viaduct, then there's a couple more bridges here into the new Tunningbury station, which replaces the old Tunningbury, which was down there. We've got the waypoint here as well, because around this way we have the junction, the crossovers. If I'd have built a station here at Landbridge, then obviously that will get moved. It's possible in the future that we build a station here and just connect it by bus, but technically all of these towns are one, so you can have a single bus line that goes through all of them if you wanted to. But there's the crossovers. There is also a temptation, I actually said this to Mastertrams as well, about founding a new town somewhere around here, just so that there's a reason to build a station here, because it is quite a gap still. From Tunningbury there to Bruntford I thought was quite a long way, but this is quite a long way as well. But it is what it is. This bit is a little more hilly. There's a couple more bits that we go down, 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 and then we get to Gaining Head, which is a new station, and then down, down, down again to Dratfield, which is also a new station, and then around the lake here, which as soon as I saw this lake here, I was like, yep, we're building around that. The outlet to the lake is here. The river comes in and underneath this way. We made that just now as well. Into Senninghead Cross, which is the new Hartberg. And then from here, we have a branch that goes down this way. This is technically the main line to Waterside and then Drentbourne and then to Bar City. And then this way is the line that goes up to Lenway. No, not Lenway. Tuningley. Via crossing over this main line as well. Hartberg and Bruntford I have left for now. There's no reason to really remove them. Plus, these stations were fine. So there is potential maybe for like a branch that comes off here. Maybe just a 2-track branch off the slow lines and then terminates at Bruntford. And we can still keep these 2 stations on the map. Sorry for that cut there. My PC played up while I was talking, so I can't even remember what I was talking about. Something to do with Hartberg and Bruntford. I didn't want to lose these 2 stations off the network. Oh, that was it. I might not pitch this to Mastertrams directly, but if you're watching this, which no doubt you will be, would you like this as a little 2-station stub branch still? And we can connect it maybe as a triangle here, but definitely connect it to Gardcity, which I know sounds really stupid because we're basically going in a fishhook shape here. But if you want these 2 connected as a little independent branch, then by all means let me know. If not, the other alternative is we build a 5th platform here at Senninghead and have a single track branch that goes up and serves these, because again, these were important stations on the original route. By the law of the route, though, these two stations never existed on the main route. So, yeah, there's a lot of timelines at play here. There's the timeline of the history of the network. So, like, this route was built in 1856 and things like that. But then there's also the history of me building it as a network. So sometimes it's a little hard to kind of keep track of all that stuff. Anyway, line is rerouted. And I think actually, besides the big brown line where it currently sits, because the tracks are new, I think this actually blends into the environment now quite nicely, if I do say so myself. And I do say so myself. People might not agree. I say it was a really difficult thing because I want to take feedback on board and implement it verbatim. But there are times where I see a suggestion from someone and I'm like, oh, that actually ties in with another idea that I had. And the fact that I so nearly rerouted this line myself off camera last episode and chose not to, and then for it to immediately be flagged, I was like, well, I'll go back to my original plan then. Because this line was basically drawn. I think I had it on one save but not the other, so I don't think it actually showed up in the episode itself, but I had this planned out just in case, and then ended up implementing it as you see here. So yeah, I want to take feedback on board and do it exactly how it's suggested, but I like to put my own spin on things sometimes as well, and make it a little bit better that way. Anyway, we're done with this. Let's head up here now to, very busy, Gardcity St. John, be precise, because here is the Gardcity hub of the TransRapid franchise. TransRapid is maglev, essentially. If you imagine Shanghai has a maglev, there's the new one that they're building in Japan, which the testing of appears to be very promising right now, so hopefully that does go somewhere. Fastest train in the world, if you believe that a maglev can be considered a train. I'm a bit on the fence on that one myself, but still very impressive. And then you've also got some test ones in Germany. There used to be one here in the UK at Birmingham International Airport. That's now been replaced by a cable-hauled system. Where was I going with this? TransRapid, fast train go vroom. Goes from here at Gardcity St. John down to Bar City Fort Dronford. Now, the Fort Dronford one, I think last episode at the end of it, I talked about rebuilding that. Here, I'm also going to rebuild it. But this one's a lot simpler. Basically, we're going to take out this fifth track on the northern side here, move all of this down one. So we're going to have 4 platforms here. We're going to have 4 platforms at Fort Dronford. And hopefully, with a bit of luck, by the end of today's episode, we're going to have some supersonic trains. Well, they're not supersonic, but you know what I mean. Super quick trains back and forth between the two main cities here. So I'm going to go and plan out a route for the TransRapid, because despite the fact that it is connected and running, I don't like the route itself. If I zoom out, I'm going to hide town names, station names I don't really need to worry about, or waypoint names, but I'm going to do it still. The TransRapid is this line here, which if you're on mobile you might not be able to see, but if you're on PC you should be able to. And apparently a lot of people watch my stuff on TV now, which is really cool. Something I hadn't considered, but yeah. Hello TV viewers. That's watching on YouTube via their TV, by the way. I don't have a TV show. Maybe one day, but nah, sounds a bit of a faff. This is the TransRapid, this really thin black line, and you see it kind of cuts through a lot of hills and meanders and all that stuff. I don't like it. I think there is a better way of doing this, and one method, one idea that I had was to actually follow existing main lines, because the right of way is already there. And actually, one of the ideas could be to follow the high-speed line, because that kind of cuts through and tunnels. Again, though, it's a similar problem. When I come to do the high-speed, this is one of the things I'm going to fix. These long tunnels, they do exist. High-speed 1 in the UK does have quite a lot of tunnels in the midsection on the way down to Kent. There's one really funny tunnel that always gets me, where clearly they've had a road and they've said, you know, we're going to cut and cover a tunnel here and then build the street back on top. And there's literally just a residential street running on top of this tunnel. Very weird to look at. It's right next to the motorway as well, which makes me think, why didn't they just come up with an alternative solution? I don't know. But yeah, this section here, particularly this sort of switchback, if you can call it that, I don't particularly like. This straight line here, I think we can maybe navigate it this way around instead. I think there is a hill there. Yeah, there is quite a big hill, in fact. So we're going to have to come up with some solution. Maybe through this gorge here and then around. This is the trickiest bit, actually, is the Midlands. There's a lot of hills in the Midlands of this map, as you may have noticed already. But I need to keep this bit because this is Brenfingley, which is a really nice station. This station here, the central one, is probably going to have to move. And then we've got this really sharp 90-degree curve here, which takes it down to Fort Bredborough, which actually I'm tempted to get the TransRapid out of here, which would make my life a lot easier, because then out of Brenfingley we could come more this way and have something here as a midpoint and then bring it back in and connect it all up and stuff like that, because Bar City is over here. And this is going to get rebuilt as well. I think it's going to be an east to west facing station rather than a north to south. Maybe, because all of this here is very messy and I don't particularly like it. So I'm going to come up with a new route for the TransRapid, and I'm not going to start building anything until I'm happy with the route. So starting here at GSJ, we're going to redirect things, reconfigure things, and make it work. And I will see you on the other side of that. And here we are on the other side of that. Let me just adjust my microphone because I've put it in the wrong place yet again. And let me talk you through it. So, first of all, I have sent all the TransRapid trains back to the depot. And I guess they're going to stay there for now. But the depot itself is no longer going to be where it currently is, if that makes any sense. We'll come to that in just a second. Here at GSJ, we've now got some space to work with. We're going to take this from 5 platforms down to 4, but we're going to do that in a moment in the time lapse. Everything out of GSJ here is identical, including up to Renston here. This is all going to be exactly the same as it was before. However, after Renston, things are going to change. You can see we do actually tunnel under here still. And the tunnel is going to emerge around this area. I know the line goes this way, but it's going to be this way because at the diagonals, yeah, I kind of drew this a little more frivolously than I wanted to. But essentially, we're going to come under here, out here, this way, around these 2 towns. Let me get the town names back up. Slanville and Dreadinghall. And we are then going to follow the Gardcity Great Eastern line here. For the most part, like here we deviate slightly, but for the most part we are going to stick to this main line. All the way along here, we're going to come around the back of this southeastern branch, back next to the main line here, until we get to this point. At this point, we're going to deviate again. We're going to continue this way, then this way, along here. This might all end up being one straight line. We might have to trim a little bit of Cunningpool Falls off here. But for the most part, yeah, we're going to go in a straight line here as much as we can. And then it starts to get a little bit tricky. And this was one of the hardest bits to actually do. And it goes back to what we were saying at the start of the episode to do with gradients. We're going to have to climb the hill here. Not entirely. We are going to tunnel under a little bit. But for the most part, we're going to climb the hill, tunnel at the top here. Then we're going to come along this way. And I think this works. If I've got this correct, there's like a 2-tile drop to the height that I want, because I want it to be the same height as this plateau here. And in fact, we could go up a little bit higher because this is the height that I would like here, because we're then going to go up and over this hill. That then brings us close to the original alignment, but we're never going to touch the original alignment, because at this stage here, we're going to drop back down into this valley, and then we're going to head diagonal across this way. So instead of tunneling under here, we're going to head this way. And what we might actually do to achieve that is go straight across, then deviate, then go straight, then diagonal again, and then straight again. And we're going to cut through this valley here, and then it's a simple chicane into Brenfingley. Then from Brenfingley, everything changes. We're going to branch off here. So actually, I say branch off. This line here is going to be mothballed. We are no longer going to use it. The new TransRapid line is going to curve away in this direction. I think almost immediately after it joins up here, we're going to come down this way here. We are then going to come across this bit. Now this section here is a bit problematic, and I'll talk about why in just a moment. From here, we're going to carry on along the level here, head diagonally this way, cross the east side of Rondham, cut across this way. And actually, this section here is slightly problematic as well. But yeah, we're going to basically skirt the water rather than go over it. Through this gap here between the two towns. Through this gap here between Punton and Fort Slunfingpool Bridge. There may be potential to build a station in this area. We are a little bit close to Brenfingley, but when you see something in a second, you'll realize why I think it's okay that we can build something here. Because then we have this. Now, originally, the line was this right-hand one, or this top one. I've rerouted it to the bottom one, because I think this is going to be our new midpoint. So we're going to have an airport here, probably on this side by the water. It's a big station here. And then the depot was going to go here, but I've changed my mind a little bit on that one. More on that in just a second as well. From here, we then come down this way. We come through this tight gap here. And then we start running alongside this line, which is the one between Denston, Carnegie, and Drentbourne, Rotea. This is the theme for the rest of this journey now. So we're going to do a little bit of crossing over and crossing back. So you see here already we've crossed technically under these lines because I think they will have to be tunnels again. More on that in just a second. Then we go under the railway here, and I think we're going to go under these arches. More on that in just a second. And then we come down here to Wanborough, where there will be a station. We're going to connect up with this main station here at Wanborough. From Wanborough, we're then going to come this way, straight diagonal across here, across the north of Hunton, Funborough Bay, and Little Hatfield. I don't remember naming that. That's weird. And then there's going to be a little bit of a diagonal here, straight across this way. And again, it looks like the terrain isn't our friend here, but I think we can make this work. A little bit of landscaping and then maybe a tunnel here. Certain tunnels I don't mind. I just think the amount of tunnels we had before was far too many. And then from this section here, we go diagonally between Froningbury and Flundinghead, and we end up next to this. Now, this is the line in the last episode. We kind of saw it, we kind of didn't. This runs from New Predwood here on the Denston to Drentbourne line, and from Headingham and Trindingbury on the, I guess, southeastern line, but the Tuningly branch. And it forms a 4-track main line here, and this runs into the western side of Bar City. The TransRapid is then going to run alongside that, completely parallel the entire way now, including going through tunnels. There is going to be a bit here where it hops over. That may get changed actually, and we may go around the back here and then this way. But the point is we're going to run parallel to this, sharing the right of way essentially until we reach Bar City. Now the main line goes into Bruntberg here. We carry on this way. We may have some kind of interchange with the line here at some point. I don't know though. I don't think there's going to be a Renston interchange type station here at Bar City. But we are going to come into the lake here. New Rendhattan is going to be tunneled under, I think. I think. I know it's going to be tunneled under. We're going to reroute this canal slightly to bring it further out this way. And then the junctions are going to be here. And then it's going to tunnel underneath into a new Fort Dronford station. Which is going to face east to west instead of north to south. That's the plan. The depot for all of this now is going to be possibly in this space here between Beffingford, the main line, and the TransRapid line. There's going to be a bit of space here to work with. I think we can make this happen. I'm hoping that it all works out pretty good. As I said, I would have liked another station somewhere along this section. But there are no main stations on the line here that we can actually do it with. The closest one is Bruntberg, but we've already deviated at Bruntberg. We've also got Tarnley here, but again, same problem. So from Fort Dronford, I think the first big station on the way out is going to be Wanborough. And then we've got the airport station here, which does have a name, actually. I gave it a name. Bear with me 1 second. I'll get up my stopping patterns sheet, and I'll let you know. It is Finfing Lake Airport. So Finfing Bridge is the nearest town. Finfing Lake is this. Finfing Lake Airport. I think that works well. Now, the reason why we're having to use tunnels instead of bridges, the TransRapid here can go, I believe, something like 250 miles an hour. But if I was to open the bridge thing here and just build a bridge, preferably correctly, our fastest bridge here is 160. It's not fast enough. So we could build a bridge across this, which is what I will do. And we'll have to slow the trains down to go over it. But elsewhere, that's why I'm going around this lake and not over it. That's also why we're tunneling under main lines over here and over, well, this bridge we're already using, which is useful for us. And it's also why even around this area here, I changed my mind and said we'll actually go around Brunfingford rather than over the main line here, because we're only going over it again here anyway, so it seems stupid. So I think we're going to come this way and then down. Excuse me. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. Hopefully I've explained that nice and quickly within 10 minutes. That's not too bad, I suppose. So now we're going to build it and we're going to make it work. I think once I've finished building it, I'm going to build the depot as part of the time lapse as well. And then I'm going to get some timing trains out and about, running and getting the times that we need. I've got 3 service patterns right now. I might as well tell you those quickly. So we've got, all of them start at Fort Dronford in Bar City. They all run to GSJ. So the first one is a non-stopper, half-hourly service. It just rockets straight through. The second one is it stops at Finfing Lake Airport, which is approximately midway. It's not entirely midway, but approximately. And then the third one is an all-stopper, calling at all stations, including Renston. All 3 of these services are half-hourly right now. That may not end up being the case, but I wanted to have as many trains shuttling back and forth as possible. So yeah, let's build all this, get the timing trains, see if we can get a schedule set up, and hopefully, when I join you in just a moment, we'll be able to start some trains running properly on this. Let's go. And here we go then. Not only is the route complete, but the trains are also scheduled and are running. We are currently riding on board the Super Express. I guess Express is the only way to say it. The TransRapid Express that runs non-stop between Bath City, Fort Dronford and Gardcity, St. George. Not St. George, St. John. I knew I was going to make that mistake. I absolutely knew it. As I said, this runs non-stop. As you can see, it goes through Wanborough, through Finfing Lake, through Brenfingley, and through Renston. I've got the time it takes for this train to reach Gardcity to basically wrap up this episode. I'm very happy with all of this. I think the new route alignment works very, very well. There is one small issue. And what I'm going to do to show you this is I'm going to minimize that a little bit. And then I'm going to increase this window size here. Mobile viewers might struggle with this, and hopefully TV viewers don't. But you can see the speed limit here. Not even the speed limit, the speed that the vehicle is currently traveling at. It is 100 miles an hour right now. In a second, we're going to speed up. This train is designed to go 341, I believe it is, miles per hour. We're going to find out in a second. It might be 343, actually. Except, look, it's slowing down, it's speeding up. It's slowing down. It's slowing right down. And then when we get to this tunnel here, it's going somewhere around 200-ish. It's where it peaks. And then, yeah, it just keeps doing this. It doesn't just do this with this train. It does it with the other type as well. So this is the MLX01-01. Very easy name to remember. The other one we've got out on here is the TransRapid 07. And both train types do this. They slow down in tunnels. But I have noticed this only in tunnels with signals. Signalless tunnels, it doesn't do this at all. And this train will eventually get to its top speed on some of the out in the open sections of track. I think it will very briefly here. There we go, 343 miles per hour. So the top speed of this line is 350. The TransRapid 07s go at a top speed of 271, I think it is. And originally the top speed was 275, but then I saw this faster train and wanted to include it as well. That's the simple thing. If you know why the trains are slowing down going through these tunnels with signals, do let me know. Because I thought I'd solved this problem, because we'd had something before. When Mastertrans was doing the high-speed network for me, we'd noticed it then. So I went and re-signaled all the tunnels, and we thought we'd solved it, but I guess not, because it's still doing it. Besides that, though, I am very happy with this route alignment. I think it looks very good, very realistic. There are some sections like this where it's running on embankment where it does look a little odd, so I might go and change that. The good thing about this line is it can be rebuilt relatively easily now without too much stress, so that's very comforting. As for the three services, I've said we've got express. We have got a semi-fast and a stopping as well. They have only been given those classifications because they have the same start and end points, and it's to stop my timetable program from getting confused. Technically, this is the express because it runs non-stop. The semi-fast only stops once at Finfing Lake, and the stopper stops everywhere along its journey. I know I've been asked in the past, why do I have semi-fast and stopping as their own thing? This is why, so I can have this little extra flexibility. Right, TransRapid, as I said, is done. I've ridden back and forth on this a couple of times now, gathering all the timings and everything, and I must admit, it is very, very fast. I think it takes about 10 minutes in total to run from one end to the other, and that does include occasional stops. So I think here, the longest one is the bottom one. That takes 90-something minutes, but that includes 10-minute stops at each station in each direction. So 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back. And I think it was a 15-minute turnaround time as well, which is obviously now a lot shorter. But the TransRapid is done. We are up and running, and it's incredibly exciting. Eventually, we'll come and build an airport here as well. That's not on today's agenda. We're just building the station. So what's next? In this series, we have 2 more episodes that I want to get out in the not too distant future. That will take us up to May, if I'm not mistaken. They are rebuilding the Gardcity Great Western and the Gardcity Great Eastern. You may recall that those franchises are owned by George. We have already done the lines to the north of Gardcity and the lines to the south. The line connecting the east to the west, the cross-city line, whatever it might be. I have plans for that, but I don't think that will be an episode. I think that will be done off camera. It's technically considered part of both the Western and the Eastern, but yeah, I'll do all that stuff off camera. We don't need to worry about that. Once those are done, we're going to take a break from actually building stuff on here, and we're going to put all efforts into the database and getting that up and running, because I think that is the next logical step. The reason I'm focusing on this stuff right now, TransRapid wasn't actually originally part of this, in all honesty. That's something different. But the reason I'm concentrating on getting other people's franchises up and running is because I also, around May-ish time, I think by the end of March, and I'm recording these episodes, so this one goes out in February? No, March this one goes out, but I'm recording it in January. So there's quite a gap between recording and uploading. Before March, I want to get the server set up and get those guys on and actually running their own services. But the videos will come out later. It's a bit complicated and a bit confusing. I apologize for that. Timelines and all that stuff. But yeah, throughout the summer, we're going to start getting the database up and running. And the reason being is I want to get all the trains, all the planes, all the ships, trams, buses, you name it. I want to get them all out on the network ASAP. So the best way to do that is to get the database running and at least get a prototype timetabling system implemented within it, where it takes data from the database, creates timetables, and then puts those timetables back into the database. Hopefully it all works. We'll very much see on that respect. I know one of the people who asked to help with that has now dropped out of the project, so hopefully new people will join. But yeah, it's my fault. I take too long with these things. I can only apologize. It is what it is. But yeah, this train's approaching the run to Renston now, and therefore Guard City, so I better start wrapping this up. As I said, we're going to be doing 2 more episodes of the main series, then we're going to concentrate on the database for a bit. We may periodically pop back in here just to do small projects and things, but ultimately this network's in a good place now, so I think it's time to do the behind the scenes stuff a little bit more. How those episodes are going to be, I have no idea, because I have no idea what I'm doing coding wise still. I don't want to show all of my frailties on full view, but there may be some exposed for you guys to see. But for the most part, there'll be a lot of off-camera stuff and then a lot of on-camera explaining. Hopefully that still creates an interesting and entertaining video. For now, though, all that's left to say is thank you very much, everybody, for watching this. Hopefully this and the previous episode do well view-wise, and then we can push on with the next 2 as well. And do some more major rebuilding, and I think again that'll be the last sort of mega rebuilding project as well. A lot more stuff after that I will probably do off camera, little bits and pieces here and there just to get it done, bearing in mind we've still got the entirety of the East Coast and the South Coast that still need rebuilding, but everything else that's existing at least is good. It's just the new stuff that needs working on now, but that shouldn't be too difficult to do. Coming through Renston, I need to start wrapping this up. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And, of course, if you're enjoying this series as it is. Do check out the database project series as well. It might not sound like the most interesting thing when I say it out loud here, but there's a lot of good stuff in there regarding the operation of a network like this, as well as talk as to how a network like this even exists in the first place. So if you're interested in that side of things, more of the background story and the lore and all that good stuff, then do check out that series. It is still me, so I can highly recommend it. Besides that, if you haven't already dropped some comments down below, be sure to do that. I nearly went into the subscriber thing then, but no, drop some comments down below. Ideas for future episodes. If you want to help out with the database project, if you want any questions answered about this network, feel free to ask me down below. I will happily answer all of them. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you for your continued support. If you'd like to take over this TransRapid franchise or any other franchises on the map that take your fancy, then by all means check out the Patreon and YouTube membership information in the description down below. Anyone is welcome to join. It's very much appreciated, and it helps support the channel with things like server costs, web costs, software costs, and all that good stuff. So if that's your thing, and if you're feeling generous, then by all means check it out. And as I said, it's very, very much appreciated. Besides that, enjoy the rest of your evening. Got this done just in time. And until next time, I will see you soon.